After 6 months away, our company's Southeast Asian expansion had finally stopped giving me migraines. The moment the last audit report cleared, I booked a flight without telling anyone. Marcus's birthday was tomorrow, and I'd spent weeks imagining the look on his face when I walked through the door unannounced. The 14-hour flight gave me plenty of time to replay the scene in my head. He'd probably be in his home office, shouting at his gaming headset like he always did, completely oblivious to the world. I'd sneak up behind him, cover his eyes, and when he spun around, I grinned into my tiny airplane window, watching the clouds drift by. In my carry-on, wrapped in 3 layers of tissue paper, was a limited edition mechanical keyboard he'd been drooling over for months. The one with the custom switches and the hand-polished keycaps. I'd had to call in 3 favors to get it. The taxi from the airport crawled through evening traffic. I checked my phone constantly, fighting the urge to text him. No, the whole point was the surprise. I wanted to see his real reaction, not the performative one he'd craft if he knew I was coming. I'd even bought a tiny camera, the kind reviewers use for unboxing videos. I planned to set it up on the bookshelf, capture the moment forever. 5 years together deserved a memory like that. The elevator in our building still made that same groaning sound on the way up. The hallway still smelled faintly of someone's dinner cooking 3 floors down. Everything was exactly as I remembered. Until I reached our door. 602, definitely our apartment. I took 2 steps back and checked the number again, my mind blanking for just a second. Then I turned back to the electronic lock and entered the code. Incorrect password. I frowned. That couldn't be right. I tried again, slower this time, carefully pressing each number. My birthday. The same code we'd used for 3 years. Locked. Unable to unlock. Incorrect password. The lock beeped its refusal and something cold settled in my stomach. He changed it. Marcus changed the code without telling me. I told myself there had to be a reasonable explanation. Maybe he'd had a security scare. Maybe the lock malfunctioned and he had to reset it. Maybe. I pressed the doorbell. Once. Twice. A 3rd time. From inside, a woman's voice called out, bright and casual, "Just leave it at the door." I stepped back again. Checked the number again. Still 602. Still our door. Still the shoe cabinet I'd picked out from IKEA 3 years ago, with Marcus's sneakers on top exactly where they always Saturday. So why was there a woman in my apartment? My finger found the doorbell again. I said, "Leave it at the door. Don't you understand English?" The voice was closer now, sharp with irritation. The door swung open. She was small, petite in a way that made me feel suddenly enormous. Dark hair pulled back in a low ponytail. A linen apron tied over her clothes, a spatula in one hand. Her eyes swept over me and I watched her expression shift, confusion, then recognition, then something else I couldn't quite name. "Can I help you?" Her tone stayed sharp, but there was a flicker of uncertainty underneath. I didn't answer. I just pushed my suitcase forward and walked past her into my own home. "Hey. What do you think you're doing? You can't just barge in here. I'll call the police." Her hand grabbed my arm, but I barely felt it. I was too busy looking at my living room. The curtains were pink. Pink. I hated pink. I'd specifically chosen those grey blackout curtains because they matched the sofa and didn't show dust. Now they were gone, replaced by something that looked like it belonged in a little girl's bedroom. Pastel throw pillows. A knitted blanket draped over the armchair with a giant embroidered goose on it. Next to the goose in looping script was a name I didn't recognize. Marcus. No, wait. That was my boyfriend's name. But the blanket was new and the embroidery was so fresh I could still see the hoop marks. I turned slowly, letting my eyes travel across the room. The TV cabinet I'd special ordered from a small woodworking shop in Fujian, the one with the black peach wood finish that cost me 2 months of careful saving, had been painted. A cheap, chalky cream color that looked like it came from a spray can. My chest tightened. I finally looked at the woman still gripping my arm. I frowned down at her hand until she let go, then met her eyes. "Shouldn't I be asking you that question?" My voice came out steadier than I felt. "Who are you and why are you in my home? Where's Marcus?" Her mouth opened, but before she could answer, a voice came from the doorway behind us. "Hey babe, I got the coconut water, the brand you like." Marcus. Changing his shoes in the entryway, a plastic bag dangling from his fingers. Had to run to 3 different stores to find it. "You owe me." I'm expecting a very thorough leg massage tonight. You hear me? He called out again when no one answered, and when he finally looked up, his eyes found mine. The color drained from his face so fast I thought he might pass out. Elena. His voice cracked on my name. You're back. The bag hit the floor. Coconut water cartons rolled everywhere. He stumbled toward me, and before I could step back, his arms were around me, squeezing tight. You came back so suddenly. Why didn't you tell me? I would have picked you up from the airport. His voice was too high, too fast, too desperate. I missed you so much. It's been so long. You look amazing. Did you lose weight? The food there must have been terrible. I stood frozen in his embrace, not hugging him back. All I could feel was how wrong this was. How foreign this man felt. 5 years together, and suddenly I didn't recognize him at all. The woman, Babe, he'd called her Babe, had let go of my arm. She walked past us to the scattered coconut water, bent down, and started picking up the cartons like it was the most natural thing in the world. Like she belonged here. I pushed Marcus back gently and looked at him directly. Who is she? He blinked, then his face shifted into something that was probably meant to be reassuring. Oh, didn't I tell you about her? She's the meal service person I found in the complex. My dining partner. Remember? I mentioned it a while back. I frowned, searching my memory. Vaguely, I remembered something about that. Marcus was a gaming streamer, or wanted to be one anyway, and his eating schedule was a disaster. Before I left, I used to order him healthy takeout, make sure he ate something that wasn't instant noodles. After I went overseas, I'd kept doing it for a while, but he always complained the food got cold by the time it arrived. Then he mentioned finding someone in the neighborhood who did home-cooked meal delivery. 3 meals a day for $1,500 a month. Clean, hygienic, homemade. I'd been relieved. I'd even transferred him 10,000 yuan and told him to get the best package. Don't short yourself, I'd said. He'd grinned and taken the money happily. Yes. He'd told me about her. I just hadn't realized home-cooked meal delivery meant cooking the meals inside my home. It wasn't like that before, Marcus said quickly, reading my face. But then other clients dropped off, and eventually I was the only one left, so she just started coming here to cook. It's more efficient that way. As he spoke, the woman, she had a name, I should probably learn it, carried a steaming dish to the table and set it down. She wiped her hands on her apron and smiled at me. It didn't reach her eyes. That's right. You should try my cooking, Miss Elena. I promise you'll like it. Yeah, come on, have a taste. Marcus was already practically drooling. Vivi's cooking is incredible. Like, restaurant quality. You won't believe it. He pulled out a chair for me, all eager energy. I sat down because I didn't know what else to do. Don't just sit there, Vivi said to Marcus. Get her some coconut water. Right. He hurried to the table and grabbed a pink cup sitting near the edge. Idiot. Vivi's voice was sharp, but there was laughter underneath. Not that one. That's mine. Marcus's face went red. He set the pink cup down carefully and looked around for another. When he couldn't find one, Vivi laughed and called him a dumb goose, then reached into the cabinet and pulled out a clean glass. He took it from her, sheepish but not upset. Not even a little. They moved around each other like dancers who'd practiced the routine 100 times. One served rice, the other poured coconut water. A glance here, a small smile there. Silent communication I wasn't part of. I sat at my own table in my own home and watched them. For a moment, just a moment, they looked like the couple who lived here. And I looked like the guest. It wasn't until Marcus set the glass in front of me and reached out to ruffle my hair that I snapped back to reality. Hey, why the long face? He asked, smiling down at me. You're home now. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. I opened my mouth to say something, I don't even know what, but before I could, a crash came from the kitchen. Glass shattering. Vivi's startled yelp. Marcus was gone before I could form a single word, rushing toward the sound like his life depended on it. I didn't follow. I didn't need to. I could hear everything from where I sat today. Ouch, you're so clumsy. His voice worried. Don't touch that. Let me do it. You'll cut yourself. The plate just slipped. Her voice small and apologetic. It's okay. It's just a bowl. As long as you're not hurt, that's all that matters. Their voices dropped to murmurs after that, too low to make out. I closed my eyes and listened to the sound of my boyfriend comforting another woman in my kitchen, and I felt something inside me crack. When they emerged, they were carrying 2 bowls of rice. One had a little puppy design. The other had a kitten. Marcus set the puppy bowl at his place. Vivi took the kitten bowl at hers. Then Vivi gasped, covering her mouth with theatrical surprise. "Oh no, I forgot. There are only 2 bowls. Miss Elena, let me get you another one." She disappeared back into the kitchen and returned with a disposable plastic bowl. Plain white, the kind you buy in bulk for parties. She set it in front of me with an apologetic smile. I looked at her. Looked at the plastic bowl. Looked at the matching ceramic set she and Marcus were using. Marcus didn't notice. He was already shoveling food into his mouth, moaning with pleasure. "So good. You have to try this, Vivi. Best one yet." Vivi smiled at him, then turned to me with that same half-apology, half-something-else expression. "Make yourself at home, Miss Elena. No need to be polite." I let out a small, bitter laugh. Not at her. At Marcus. At the fact that he didn't react at all. Didn't find it strange that another woman was telling me to make myself at home in my own house. Didn't hear how wrong it sounded. It was like somewhere along the way he'd started believing she had the right to say those things. That realization hurt more than anything else so far. Vivi suddenly slapped her forehead. "I forgot to take off my apron." She untied it with a flourish, and when the apron came away, my brain stopped working. Underneath, she was wearing a white shirt. Long, thin, nearly transparent. So thin that when she moved, I could see everything. Every curve, every shadow, every detail of what was or wasn't underneath. My head buzzed. I stared frozen as she caught my eye and smiled. A small, deliberate smile. Then she turned to Marcus, biting her chopsticks. "Hey, dumb goose. Get me another chicken wing. It's too far. I can't reach." "Sure." He was already moving, reaching across the table without a second thought. I couldn't breathe. All I knew in that moment was that if I swallowed this, if I sat here and let this happen, let them treat me like an interloper in my own life, I would become exactly the kind of woman I'd always pitied. The one who pretends not to see. The one who smiles and accepts and slowly disappears. The one everyone laughs about behind her back. So when Marcus picked up the chicken wing and reached toward Vivi's bowl, I stood up. And I swept the entire table onto the floor. The crash was magnificent. Plates shattered, food sprayed everywhere, oily sauce splattered across the floor and up the cabinets. Some of it landed on Vivi, on that transparent white shirt, and she screamed, a high, sharp sound that cut through the ringing in my ears. She curled away from the table, her eyes already wet with tears, her whole body trembling. "Miss Elena, I don't know what you're so angry about, but no matter how upset you are, you shouldn't take it out on the food." "Elena." Marcus slammed his chopsticks down so hard they bounced off the table and skittered across the floor. His face was red, his jaw tight. "What the hell is wrong with you?" I stared at him. "I really didn't want to bring this up today, but you've been acting like this since you walked in. Attitude from the second you got here, and now this? Throwing food everywhere like a child? What do you want?" He pointed at Vivi, still trembling in her ruined shirt. "Apologize to her. Right now." I laughed. I couldn't help it. The sound came out of me like something broken. "You want me to apologize?" "Yes." His voice was iron. "You owe her that much." The next second, my hand connected with his face. The slap echoed in the sudden silence. Vivi screamed again, but I wasn't done. I grabbed Marcus by the ear, the same ear I'd tugged playfully 1,000 times over 5 years, and yanked him toward her. I shoved him down until he was standing next to her, both of them staring at me with identical expressions of shock and outrage. "Apologize," I said. "Fine. But first explain something to me." Before either of them could react, I reached out and grabbed the collar of Vivi's shirt. I pulled. Hard. The thin fabric stretched, then tore slightly, revealing a long stretch of pale skin. "Before I apologize," I said slowly, "tell me why she's cooking in my home for my boyfriend wearing nothing underneath." Marcus stared. His mouth opened, then closed. His eyes traveled from Vivi's face down to her chest, and I watched the moment he actually saw what was in front of him. The moment his brain registered the transparent fabric and what lay beneath it. He swallowed. Then he looked at me, and the guilt on his face was so obvious it was almost funny. "No, babe, listen. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know she wasn't wearing that. She just cooks, I just eat, that's all. I don't pay attention to what she wears. Vivi had been frantically trying to cover herself, but at his words she froze. Her hand stilled on her ruined shirt, and she looked at Marcus with an expression of pure, wounded disbelief. But Marcus wouldn't meet her eyes. He was too busy grabbing my hand, clutching it like a lifeline. Babe, there's nothing between us. We're just friends. Pure friendship. You have to believe me. Friends. I pulled my hand away. A man and a woman alone in a house. She's wearing a see-through shirt with no bra. And you expect me to believe it's just friendship? We've been together for 5 years. His voice cracked. If you don't know her, you know me, right? I'm the guy who doesn't even get recommended suggestive videos on social media. I'm innocent. I seriously didn't know she wasn't wearing anything underneath. I never looked. He was practically begging now, hands outstretched, eyes wide. Ready to swear on anything I wanted. I didn't care. I turned to Vivi instead. The same woman who'd been needling me since I walked in, playing lady of the house, dripping passive-aggressive provocation with every word. She was clutching her torn shirt, eyes red, playing the victim beautifully. She saw me looking and straightened, jaw set. Miss Elena, I don't need to explain anything to you. If we're clean, we're clean. People with dirty minds see filth in everything. The last sentence was sharp, pointed, meant to wound. I didn't rise to it. I just smiled. Really? So you're saying I'm the one who took off your bra? Or helped you pick out that shirt? Did I force you to come into my home and cook for my boyfriend dressed like that? I stepped closer. She stepped back. By your logic, if I walk in next time and find you both naked in my bed, you'll tell me I'm the twisted one for thinking something happened? That you were just lying there having a conversation? Vivi's face cycled through colors, white, red, purple. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. No words came out. She clearly hadn't expected me to be so direct. To drag her little games into the light and set them on fire. She looked at Marcus, hoping for rescue. Marcus looked away. Something in her face crumbled, then hardened. She turned back to me, fists clenched at her sides. Fine. I'll tell you clearly. I never did anything with Marcus. I'm not as filthy as you think. Her voice shook. I wore that shirt because I have a medical condition. My skin reacts to most fabrics. I need breathable clothes or I break out in rashes. That's all. She was trembling now, tears streaming down her face. I just revealed my personal medical information to you because you forced me. Are you happy now? She turned and ran for the door, yanking it open and slamming it behind her so hard the walls shook. Silence. Marcus stood frozen, staring at the door. After a long moment he spoke, almost to himself. So she's sick. My head buzzed. I looked up at him and he met my eyes with an expression I couldn't quite read. Confusion? Sympathy? For her? Then his brow furrowed. Elena, why do you always have to push so hard? She's already dealing with enough. Did you really have to humiliate her like that? Don't you feel even a little guilty? Guilty? I didn't know if my conscience hurt, but my head was pounding. The rage that had carried me through the last few minutes was fading, leaving something cold and hollow in its place. And then he added, we should probably go apologize to her later. That was it. All the fight drained out of me. I looked at the bowl of rice still sitting on the table, the plastic one, the one meant for guests, and I picked it up. Marcus frowned. What are you? I threw it in his face. Rice scattered everywhere. Grain stuck to his hair, his shirt, his shocked expression. We're done, Marcus. My voice was flat. Being with you has been the biggest mistake of my life. You're crazy. He was sputtering, wiping rice from his eyes. I don't agree to this. Did you take something on the plane? You come home and just start destroying everything. He stopped. His eyes narrowed. Wait. Is that it? He looked me up and down like he was seeing me for the first time. You're not seeing someone over there, are you? That's it. That's why you're doing this. You found someone else and now you're looking for an excuse to blame me so you can break up without feeling guilty. His eyes widened with the force of his own revelation. I knew it. You are seeing someone else. His voice rose to a shout. Elena, how could you do this to me? 5 years. 5 years and this is how you treat me. I stared at him. In one sentence he'd managed to do it all. Change the subject. Reverse the blame. Twist everything until I was the villain and he was the victim. We'd been talking about him and Vivi. He'd offered no explanation, no defense. Just suddenly decided that I must be cheating. Because if I was cheating, then his behavior didn't matter. If I was cheating, then my anger was just a smokescreen. If I was cheating, then he was the wronged party. Projection. Pure, textbook projection. The realization cleared something in my head. The rage, the hurt, the betrayal, they didn't disappear, but they settled into something quieter. Something sharper. I looked at the man I'd spent 5 years with. The man I'd supported financially and emotionally. The man I'd flown 14 hours to surprise for his birthday. I didn't recognize him at all. Maybe I never had. Marcus shifted under my gaze. He looked uncomfortable now, even nervous. Why are you looking at me like that? His voice was dry. You're the one who did something wrong, not me. I didn't do anything. Are you sure? My voice was calm now. Completely calm. Then how about this? Are you willing to switch phones and check each other's messages? He flinched. It was tiny, almost imperceptible. But I saw it. His eyes darted away from me, looking for an escape. They landed on the puppy bowl he'd been using earlier. The one that matched Vivi's kitten bowl. Handmade. A set. Not something you could buy in a store. I remembered suddenly that about a month ago Marcus had mentioned going to Jingdezhen for some gaming event. He'd been vague about the details. I hadn't thought anything of it at the time. Now I did. So you went on a trip together. It wasn't a question. The puppy bowl hit the floor and shattered. Marcus's face went white. No. We didn't. I mean, we just... I held up a hand. Don't bother. I don't care where you went or what you did. I don't care about the details of how this happened between you two. And I didn't. From the moment I walked in, Vivi had shown me everything I needed to know. The matching dishes. The pet names. The way they moved around each other like a married couple. The traces of her scattered through every room of my home. My space had been invaded. And Marcus had let it happen. At this point, whether they'd actually slept together didn't even matter. The only thing in my head, clear and undeniable, was that I wanted out. Now. But first. You changed the lock code. Marcus blinked at the sudden shift. What? The door code. You changed it. Why? Oh. Yeah. He ran a hand through his hair, dislodging a few grains of rice. Vivi kept forgetting it when she came to cook. I'd be live streaming with my headset on and couldn't hear the door. She'd be stuck outside for like an hour sometimes. So I changed it to something easier for her to remember. Easier. 990817, that's the new code. I repeated the numbers silently. 990,817. I didn't have to think about it. I knew immediately. Vivi's birthday. I thought I was done being angry. I thought I'd moved past it into something colder, more controlled. But when Marcus said those numbers, heat exploded in my chest. My arm rose. My hand drew back. Marcus flinched, squeezing his eyes shut, bracing for impact. I let him stand there for a long moment, waiting. Then, slowly, I lowered my hand. He cracked one eye open. Saw my hand by my side. Relaxed visibly. I knew it, he breathed. You wouldn't really. I slapped him. Marcus. My voice was ice. This is my home. I paid for it. In full. You don't have the right to change anything about it without my permission. Including the door lock. He clutched his cheek, mouth opening and closing like a fish. No words came out. I left him there and walked to the table. Picked up Vivi's pink cup. Then the matching blue one from the corner. I held them both for a moment, looking at them. Then I let them fall. They shattered against the floor, ceramic shards scattering everywhere. Oops, I said. Slippery. I looked around the living room. Really looked this time. The pink curtains. The pastel pillows. The bunny-shaped cushions. The knitted blanket with the embroidered goose and Marcus's name stitched beside it. My eyes landed on the TV cabinet. The one I'd special ordered. The one I'd waited 3 months for. The one he'd painted over in that cheap, chalky cream. I couldn't breathe. I walked to the bedroom. The door was open. I looked inside. The bedding was wrong. All wrong. A floral pattern in colors I would never choose. A duvet cover that clashed with everything. Marcus appeared behind me. It's not what you think. His voice was rushed, desperate. Remember when we had that big fight a few months ago? The one where we almost broke up? I got really drunk and threw up on the old bedding. I felt terrible about it, and Vivi offered to buy a new set. I just never got around to changing it back. If you don't like it, I'll order new stuff right now. He pulled out his phone, fingers flying over the screen. I took a photo of the bedroom. Hold on, I said. I need to make some calls. Calls? What calls? I didn't answer. I walked back to the living room, pulled out my own phone and dialed. Yvonne? It's Elena. Are you free? I need you to come over. And bring Leo. Yes, the lawyer. I have a situation. Yvonne arrived within the hour, Leo trailing behind her with his tablet already out. They'd been my anchors through every crisis since university, and the look on Yvonne's face when she walked into my apartment told me she understood exactly how serious this was. What the hell happened here? She stared at the pink curtains, the pastel explosion, the shattered ceramic on the floor. Marcus was still standing in the middle of the living room, looking like a lost child. Elena's lost her mind, he said. She came home and just started destroying everything. You need to talk to her. Yvonne looked at me. I looked at Leo. How long will it take to calculate damages? Leo was already moving, tablet in hand, walking through the rooms with the focused attention of someone who billed by the hour. Depends on what you have records for. Receipts, photos, bank statements. Anything that establishes original value and condition. I have everything. I pulled up my cloud storage. I'm organized. Elena. Marcus stepped toward me. What are you doing? I ignored him. Yvonne stood beside me, arms crossed, watching Marcus with an expression that could curdle milk. Maybe you should sit down, she told him. This might take a while. It took just over an hour. Leo moved through the apartment methodically, photographing every change, comparing them to the photos I'd saved over the years. The kitchen was the worst. The custom fridge panels I'd paid a small fortune for had been covered in contact paper, some cheap marble print that was already peeling at the edges. The cabinets had been repainted without proper sanding, brush strokes visible everywhere. The bathroom tiles I'd imported from Italy, handmade, each one unique, had been updated with stick-on vinyl decals. Flowers. Pink flowers. The study broke my heart most of all. My collection of art books, curated over a decade, had been rearranged to make space for gaming memorabilia I'd never seen before. Posters on the walls. A second gaming chair. 2 headsets hanging side by side. This was my sanctuary, I heard myself say. My quiet place. Leo just kept photographing. When he finally sat down at the dining table, the one piece of furniture that seemed untouched, he had pages of notes. Total estimated damages based on replacement cost and diminution of value comes to 278,000 yuan. He looked at me steadily. That's conservative. If we push for full replacement of everything, including professional installation fees, we could go higher. I nodded. 278 is fine. What? Marcus's voice cracked. 278,000? That's insane. Nothing here cost that much. Leo slid a printout across the table. The kitchen alone is 80,000. Custom refrigeration, imported cabinetry, professional-grade appliances. The bathroom tiles are another 30. The TV cabinet, original piece, handcrafted wood, was 25. And that's before we get to the study, the bedroom furniture, the decorative items that can't be replaced. Marcus stared at the paper like it was written in a foreign language. This is ridiculous. He pushed it back. Elena, come on. This is our home. We can talk about this. I'll change everything back. I'll paint, You'll paint. I looked at him. You'll paint over the paint you already put on top of my custom finish? You'll somehow modify my kitchen? You'll find replacement tiles for ones that are no longer made. He had no answer. The point, Leo said calmly, is that the property has been substantially altered without the owner's consent. That's damage. That's liability. Marcus's face went through several stages of denial before settling on outrage. Fine. He crossed his arms. Fine. If you want to be like this, then Vivi will apologize. She asked before she changed anything. I said it was okay. She'll say sorry and we'll move on. He pulled out his phone. I tapped the table. You're mistaken. My voice was quiet, but something in it made him stop typing. It's not just her. You're both responsible. You'll pay together. Marcus stared at me like I'd grown a second head. Elena, I'm your boyfriend. How can you be so heartless? Just because I got a little close with someone while you were gone, you're treating me like this? Like I'm a stranger. I reached for the glass of water still sitting on the table, the one he'd poured for me earlier untouched, and threw it in his face. If plain English is too hard for you, I said, go to the hospital. He sputtered, water dripping from his chin. We're already broken up. Don't try to make this about emotions between a man and a woman. You and someone else caused significant damage to my property. If you don't compensate me, we'll handle it through the police. Something shifted in Marcus's face. The outrage faded, replaced by something darker. Elena. He said my name like a warning. Don't do this. I picked up my phone and dialed. The moment the call connected, before I could even speak, Marcus lunged forward and hit the end button. Fine. His voice shook with rage. Fine. You want to make a scene? Break up? Fine. But don't come crying to me later when you realize what you threw away. I let out a long breath. 278,000 yuan, and he was still making it about love and betrayal. About feelings. About him. The real number was right there on the table. 278,000. Did that mean nothing compared to his wounded pride? Marcus stormed toward the door, grabbing his suitcase, the one I'd bought him, from the corner. He yanked it open and started throwing things inside. I watched for a moment. Then I spoke. Wait. He paused. Turned back. A smug smile crept across his face. What? Still can't let me go? He shook his head, playing the part of the magnanimous ex. If you admit you were wrong, maybe I'll be generous and forgive you. We don't have to break up. I looked at him like he was something I'd scraped off my shoe. No. I want Vivi's contact information before you leave. Neither of you is getting out of this. I need to send her the damages list. The smile vanished. He gave me the information, a phone number, a social media handle, and left without another word. Just before the door slammed, I heard a sound from the hallway. A sob. Loud and pathetic. It had nothing to do with me anymore. I created a group chat. Added Marcus. Added Vivi. Named it Compensation Discussion. Marcus's first message appeared immediately, changed the name to Love Nest House with Flower Red Heart Hash. I stared at it for a moment, then ignored it. A second later, the message was deleted. I tagged them both and sent the full damages list. Then one more message. Please transfer the full amount within 10 days. I muted the chat. How they split it, who paid what, that was their problem, not mine. Yvonne stayed to help me start clearing out the clutter. By midnight, the pink curtains were in garbage bags, the pastel pillows were donated to the building's charity bin, and the knitted goose blanket was waiting by the door for whoever wanted it. The space already felt more like mine. The next morning I changed the lock. New code. Something no one else would guess. I also installed cameras. Front door. Living room. Every entrance. On the third day I hired a cleaning crew. Professional deep clean, top to bottom. They were working their way through the bedroom when one of them emerged holding something between thumb and forefinger. Miss? Found this under the bed. Want us to keep it? Pink lace. Small. Definitely not mine. I took a photo and sent it to the group chat. Excuse me. Is this yours? Vivi responded immediately. A voice message, her voice shrill with outrage. Yes, it's mine. So what? Marcus bought it for me. Jealous much, you old hag? I raised my eyebrows and typed calmly. That's fine. I found them under my bed. Since you both slept in my bed, I no longer want it. I'll be adding the mattress and solid wood frame to the compensation list. Total 4 to 6,000 yuan. The group chat went silent for a full minute. Then Vivi exploded. Dozens of voice messages, each one the full 60 seconds. I didn't listen to a single one. Instead, I posted a screenshot. Legal documents prepared by Leo, outlining the process for civil claims and potential criminal charges for property damage. The voice messages stopped. A long pause. Then Marcus's name appeared. Elena. Do you really have to make it this ugly? I typed my reply. Intentional property damage carries a sentence of 3 to 7 years. Silence. The group chat stayed quiet for days. On the 8th day they showed up at my door. I watched them on my phone before I even got out of bed. The camera feed showed Marcus standing at my door, looking nothing like the man I'd spent 5 years with. His clothes were wrinkled, his hair unwashed, his face carrying the kind of exhaustion that came from not sleeping. Beside him, Vivi shifted from foot to foot, checking her phone, looking anywhere but at him. They stood there for a long moment. Then Marcus stepped forward and punched numbers into the lock. Wrong. Try again. Wrong. One more time. Locked out. He pulled out his phone. Mine buzzed. Elena. His voice was rough. You changed the lock. The code doesn't work. Neither does my birthday. Neither does our anniversary. A pause. When he spoke again, his voice shook. Do you really not love me anymore? We've known each other for 10 years. Been together for 5. 10 years, Elena. Doesn't that mean anything? I considered the question. So you're saying I'm entitled to emotional damages too? He hung up. I watched the camera feed as he stood there, devastated, staring at my door like it might open if he wished hard enough. Vivi moved closer. Wrapped her arms around him. Pulled his head down to her chest. I noted with some detachment that she was wearing a bra this time. They held each other for a long moment. Then their faces turned toward each other. Their lips met. Their hands started wandering. Right there. At my doorstep. In full view of my camera. I cleared my throat, tapped the speaker button on the surveillance app and said, "Should I bring out a bed for you?" They jumped apart so fast Vivi lost her balance and went down hard, landing on the floor with a yelp. Marcus looked at the camera, looked right at it and ran. Just turned and ran down the hallway, leaving Vivi sitting there clutching her hip. She stared after him for a moment, then burst into tears. She struggled to her feet and limped after him. I uploaded the video to the group chat. If you're going to love each other deeply. Just not at my doorstep. I'm not replacing another door. No response. But I knew they saw it. Probably watched it multiple times. Whatever went through their heads, I didn't care. The 10-day deadline was almost up, and all I cared about was my money. I knew Marcus didn't have it. His gaming career had never made money. I'd supported him for years, rent, food, entertainment, everything. The card he used was a supplementary one under my account. I'd cancelled it the day I left. By my calculations, he didn't have 5,000 yuan to his name. And Vivi? With her taste for handmade pottery and embroidered blankets and transparent shirts. She didn't strike me as someone with savings. I was curious how they'd manage 300,000 yuan. What I didn't expect was a suitcase full of cash. They showed up on the 10th day, Marcus carrying a hard-sided Samsonite I'd never seen before. He marched up to my door, I let them in this time, standing back as they entered, and yanked it open. Bundles of 100 yuan notes. Stacked neatly. So many stacks. There. Marcus grabbed a handful and threw them at me. Bills fluttered through the air, landing on the floor around my feet. That's what you wanted, right? Your damn money. I caught one mid-air. Checked it. Real. He reached for another handful, clearly intending to keep throwing, keep venting. But I stepped forward and pulled the suitcase out of his reach. That's enough. We're going to the bank. His face went red. What? To verify the currency and count it properly. I'm not doing this on my living room floor. I didn't give him a chance to argue. I closed the suitcase, grabbed my keys and headed for the door. They followed. On the way to the bank, Marcus and Vivi walked hand in hand, pressed close together. They whispered to each other constantly. Every few minutes one of them would sneak a glance at me, looking for some sign of pain or regret. I looked at the suitcase. At the bank the teller counted carefully. Verified each bill. Deposited the full amount into my account. 320,000 yuan. A little more than the original estimate, thanks to the mattress and bed frame. I watched the number appear in my balance and felt something loosen in my chest. A knot I hadn't realized I'd been carrying since the moment I first saw those pink curtains. It was over. I turned to leave. Marcus grabbed my wrist. I looked down at his hand, then up at his face. His lips trembled. Elena. His voice cracked. From this day on, may the mountains be high and the rivers long. Take care of yourself. A pause. Then, with effort, you know you'll never meet another man as good as me. Even now. Even at the end. He had to make himself the hero of his own story. The tragic, noble ex making a dignified exit. I didn't know who he was performing for. Me? Himself? Vivi standing behind him with an unreadable expression. I pried his fingers off my wrist one by one. Smiled at both of them. Well then. I wish you a lifetime of happiness and a dozen babies. I walked away. Blocked them both on every platform. Deleted the group chat. Went home, packed my essentials and listed the apartment for sale. 2 weeks later I was on another plane. New country. New project. New life. 2 months after the apartment sold, I got a message through the real estate agent. Miss Elena? Sorry to bother you, but something's come up with the new owner of your old place. There's a situation and they asked me to contact you. I called her back during my lunch break. What kind of situation? The agent's voice was nervous. There's a man. He showed up at the apartment late at night, apparently drunk. Got into a fight with the new owner, a physical altercation. The police were called. I waited. He kept saying he needed to see you. That you were his fiancé and he had to talk to you. The new owner didn't know what to do. When the police came, the man, Marcus his name is, he started threatening to hurt himself if he couldn't see you. They had to restrain him. I stared out the window at a skyline I was still learning to recognize. He's at the police station now. They are holding him for observation. He keeps asking for you. The new owner wanted me to ask, what should they do? What should they do? I repeated. Nothing. I don't know him. If he needs to be sentenced, let him be sentenced. If he needs to be fined, let him be fined. This has nothing to do with me. A pause. Miss Elena, there's more. About the money. Go on. The police did some checking. That money he gave you? The 320,000? He borrowed it. All of it. But it wasn't just 320. He borrowed 500,000 total. After paying you, he spent the rest on Vivi. Vacations. Shopping. Luxury hotels. They had some kind of extended trip, beach resorts, 5-star restaurants, the whole thing. I thought about Marcus, who had never held a real job. Who had lived off me for years. Who had somehow produced a suitcase full of cash. He borrowed from loan sharks, the agent continued. The kind with high interest and short terms. When he couldn't pay, they came looking. He asked Vivi to help. She said she would. Then the next morning she was gone. Took his phone, his laptop, everything valuable he had left. Even the last few thousand yuan in his wallet. I wasn't surprised. He had nowhere else to go. So he came back to your old place. When he saw another man there, he snapped. I thought about the man I'd known for 10 years. The boy I'd fallen in love with. The person I'd supported and believed in. Miss Elena? Are you still there? I'm here. What should I tell the new owner? I looked at my computer screen. Emails waiting. Reports to review. A life that had nothing to do with any of this. Tell them to press charges if they want to. Tell them to get a restraining order. Tell them whatever they need to hear. I paused. But tell them not to contact me again. I'm done. The agent was quiet for a moment. Then he asked me to send you something. A video. From the police station. I don't want to see it. Miss Elena. If you send it, I'll delete it unopened. I'm not curious. I don't need closure. I don't need to see him crying or begging or whatever he's doing. That part of my life is over. Another pause. Okay. I understand. I'm sorry to have bothered you. You didn't bother me. Take care. I hung up. The video arrived anyway. A thumbnail showing Marcus lying on a floor somewhere institutional, face twisted with weeping, arms wrapped around himself. I deleted it without opening. Then I went back to my emails. 6 months later, I was in a different city entirely. The company had opened a European office and I'd volunteered to lead the transition. New languages, new challenges, new people who had never heard of Marcus or Vivi or the apartment with the pink curtains. It was exactly what I needed. I'd thrown myself into work the way some people throw themselves into relationships. 12-hour days became 14. Weekends blurred into weekdays. I learned to navigate foreign bureaucracy, manage cultural expectations, build teams from scratch. By the time summer arrived, the office was running smoothly enough that I could finally breathe. That's when my mother called. Elena. Her voice had that particular tone, the one that meant she'd been sitting on something for a while and couldn't hold it anymore. I got a strange message today. I was in my apartment making dinner for one, watching the sun set over a skyline that felt almost familiar. From who? Some girl. She said she needed to talk to you. That it was urgent. Life or death. I stopped stirring the vegetables. Did she leave a name? Vivi. The spatula paused mid-stir. Of course. She's been messaging me for 3 days, my mother continued. At first I thought it was spam, but she keeps sending photos. Of you. With some boy. She says you owe her money and you're hiding from responsibility. I put the spatula down and turned off the stove. Mom, whatever she's telling you. I know. I didn't believe her. But Elena, some of the photos you looked happy. With him. Is that the boy you dated for all those years? The one who never worked? No. That's Marcus. And I don't owe anyone anything. My mother was quiet for a moment. Then, she says you stole him from her. That you broke them up and took all their money and ran away. I laughed. I couldn't help it. Mom, I came home from a business trip and found her living in my apartment. Wearing my boyfriend. Using my dishes. Sleeping in my bed. I asked them to pay for the damage they did to my property and they did. End of story. Damage to your property? I'd never told my mother the full story. Just that Marcus and I had broken up and I'd moved on. She was old school, she didn't need to know the ugly details. It's complicated. But I didn't steal anything. I didn't break anyone up. Whatever happened between them, that's their problem. Then why is she contacting me? I thought about it. Vivi, desperate and cornered, lashing out at the only target she could reach. It was pathetic, really. She's probably in trouble. She and Marcus borrowed money they couldn't pay back. She ran out on him and now the lenders are after her too. She's looking for someone to blame. Should I block her? Yes. And if she keeps trying, tell her you're contacting the police. My mother made a sound of agreement. Then, Elena, are you okay? Really? 5 years is a long time. I looked around my apartment. Small by European standards, but mine. Furnished exactly the way I wanted. Quiet. Peaceful. I'm fine, Mom. Better than fine. I should have done this years ago. We talked for a while longer, about her garden, my cousin's new baby, the usual things. When I hung up, the vegetables were cold and the sun had fully set. I reheated dinner and ate it standing at the window, watching the city lights come on one by one. The next day I got a notification. Someone had tried to log into my social media accounts. Multiple attempts, all from the same IP address. I changed my passwords, enabled 2-factor authentication everywhere, and didn't think about it again. A week later, a package arrived at my office. International mail, no return address. Inside was a single sheet of paper. Handwritten. Desperate. Elena. I know you don't want to hear from me. I know I messed up. But please, I'm begging you. Vivi's gone. The lenders took everything. I have nowhere to go. No one else to ask. I'm sick. Really sick. The doctors say it's serious. I need money for treatment. I wouldn't ask if I had any other choice. Please. 10 years. Doesn't that count for anything? Marcus. I read it twice. Then I fed it through the office shredder. That night I dreamed about the apartment. Not the way it looked at the end with the pink curtains and the pastel pillows. The way it looked at the beginning. Empty. New. Full of possibility. Marcus was there, young and hopeful, talking about his gaming channel, his plans, his dreams. I was there too, listening, believing. I woke up at 3 a.m. with tears on my face. I didn't know who I was crying for. Another month passed. Another city for a conference. Another hotel room with anonymous furniture and blackout curtains. I was checking emails before a morning session when I saw the name. Vivi Chen. Subject line, you win. I almost deleted it. My finger hovered over the trash icon. Instead, I opened it. Elena. I know you probably blocked me everywhere. I'm using a friend's account to send this. You don't have to reply. I just need you to know. Marcus is dead. He got sick about 4 months ago. Didn't tell anyone until it was too late. By the time he went to the hospital, it had spread everywhere. Liver. Lungs. Brain. He died last week. Alone. In a public hospital. No one with him. I found out from a mutual friend. I wasn't there either. I couldn't be. The people we owe, they're still looking for me. I can't go anywhere without watching my back. I'm not telling you this to make you feel guilty. I'm telling you because he talked about you at the end. That's what our friend said. He kept saying your name. Over and over. Maybe that means something. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know anymore. I just thought you should know. Vivi. I read it 3 times. Then I closed the email and went to my conference session. Took notes. Participated in discussions. Smiled at colleagues. That night I sat in my hotel room and thought about 10 years. 10 years of knowing someone. 5 years of loving them. 1 day of realizing I'd never known them at all. I thought about the boy who used to make me laugh until I couldn't breathe. The man who couldn't be bothered to remember my door code but changed it for someone else's birthday. The stranger at the end who threw money at me and said I'd never find anyone better. I thought about him dying alone in a public hospital, saying my name. I didn't cry. I wasn't sure I had any tears left for him. But I also didn't sleep. The next morning I transferred money to the hospital. Enough to cover his final bills, whatever they were. I did it anonymously. I didn't want thanks. I didn't want acknowledgement. I just wanted it done. Then I went back to work. Another 6 months. Another promotion. Another city. I was in a meeting when my phone buzzed with an international number I didn't recognize. I let it go to voicemail. Later I listened. Elena? This is Detective Who from the pause, papers shuffling, from the police department in your old city. I'm calling about a case involving Marcus Tan and Vivi Chen. I understand you were connected to both individuals. We have some questions about financial transactions that may be relevant to an ongoing investigation. Please call me back at your earliest convenience. I deleted the message. I didn't call back. Whatever investigation they were running, whatever questions they had, it had nothing to do with me. I'd paid what I was owed. I'd moved on. I'd built a new life in a new country with new people and new challenges. Marcus was dead. Vivi was wherever Vivi was. The money was gone or spent or seized. None of it was my problem anymore. That night I dreamed about the apartment again. But this time it was empty. Clean. Waiting. I walked through the rooms, running my hands over the walls, and felt nothing. No anger. No sadness. No longing. Just empty space. I woke up calm. The next day I accepted another assignment. Another country. Another challenge. The day after that I met someone. A colleague from a partner firm. Smart, funny, stable. He asked me to dinner. I said yes. We talked for hours. About work, about travel, about the books we were reading. He didn't ask about my past. I didn't ask about his. We just existed in the moment, 2 people enjoying each other's company. It felt like coming up for air after years underwater. When I got back to my apartment that night, I deleted the voicemail from Detective Who without listening to it again. Then I scrolled through my contacts and stopped at my mother's name. I called her. Mom? It's late there. Did I wake you? No. I was reading. Everything okay? Yeah. Everything's fine. I just wanted to hear your voice. She laughed, that warm sound I'd known my whole life. Well, you hear it. Now tell me about your day. I told her about the meeting, the dinner, the new person I'd met. I didn't mention the voicemail or Marcus or any of it. Some stories don't need to be told. Some doors need to stay closed. 2 years after I left, I went back. Not to stay. Just to visit. My mother had been asking for months and I'd run out of excuses. So I booked a flight, packed a small bag, and prepared myself for the memories that would inevitably surface. The city had changed. New buildings. New shops. New energy. I walked through streets that felt familiar and foreign at the same time, letting the sensory overload wash over me. On the 3rd day I took a taxi to the old neighborhood. I didn't plan to. I just told the driver an address and ended up there. The building looked smaller than I remembered. Less significant. Just another apartment complex in a city full of them. I stood across the street and looked up at the 6th floor. My old windows. Someone else's curtains now. Someone else's life. You're Elena, right? I turned. A woman stood beside me, maybe 50, holding a shopping bag. It took me a moment to place her, Mrs. Chen, from 2 floors down. We'd exchanged nods in the elevator for years but never really talked. Yes. Hi, Mrs. Chen. She looked at me for a long moment. Then, I thought you'd moved away. I did. Just visiting family. A pause. She shifted her shopping bag from one hand to the other. That boy Marcus. He came back, you know. After you left. He'd stand outside the building for hours sometimes. Just staring up at your windows. I didn't say anything. Then he got sick. Really sick. Fast. By the time anyone realized how bad it was too late. She shook her head. The girl who was with him, the small one, she disappeared right around then. Never saw her again. Vivi. Yes, that was her name. She came by once after he died. Crying. Asking if anyone knew how to reach you. I told her I didn't. Mrs. Chen shifted her weight, studying me. He wasn't a bad boy, you know. Just lost. Some people never find their way. I thought about that. About Marcus, adrift his whole life, finally running out of chances. Maybe, I said. Mrs. Chen nodded, as if that was answer enough. Then she patted my arm and walked toward the building, disappearing through the glass doors. I stood there for another minute. Then I hailed a taxi and went back to my mother's house. That night, I dreamed about Marcus for the first time in months. He was young again. The way he looked when we first met, full of energy and terrible jokes and a kind of desperate hope that things would work out. We were in the apartment the way it was before, grey curtains, black TV cabinet, my books on the shelves. He was saying something, but I couldn't hear the words. Just the shape of them. The movement of his mouth. I woke up and wrote it down. Not the dream, I couldn't remember enough for that. Just the date. Then I let it go. The next day I met my mother for lunch at a restaurant we'd been going to since I was a child. Same owner, same recipes, same plastic tablecloths that hadn't been fashionable in decades. So, she said, pouring tea, are you going to tell me about him? About who? The one you mentioned on the phone. The colleague. Are you still seeing him? I stirred my tea. We're seeing each other. It's not serious yet. But it's nice. Easy. Easy is good at your age. I laughed. Thanks, Mom. She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. I just want you to be happy, Elena. You deserve that. I am happy. She looked at me for a long moment, then nodded. Good. Then eat your dumplings. They're getting cold. We talked about other things after that. Her garden. My cousin's wedding. The new shopping center they were building near her house. Normal things. Easy things. On my last day in the city, I went for a walk alone. I ended up at a cemetery. I didn't plan to. I just kept walking and found myself there, standing at the edge of row after row of headstones. I found his name eventually. Small marker. No flowers. No visitors. Marcus Tan. A date of birth. A date of death. Nothing in between. I stood there for a long time, waiting to feel something. Grief? Regret? Relief? Nothing came. Just the wind through the trees and the distant sound of traffic. After a while I turned and walked away. On the plane back, I thought about the person I'd been when I first bought that apartment. Young. Hopeful. Ready to build a life with someone I loved. That person was gone now. Replaced by someone harder, smarter, less willing to trust. I didn't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing. It just was. When the flight landed, I turned my phone on. A message waited from the colleague, the one I'd been seeing. Just a simple welcome back. Dinner tonight? I smiled and typed yes. Some stories end. Others just keep going. This one, mine, was still being written. The apartment sold. The money spent. The people scattered. I had a new city, new job, new relationship taking shape. I had my mother's voice on the phone and my own name on a lease and a future that looked nothing like what I'd imagined 5 years ago. Sometimes, late at night, I thought about Marcus. About the 10 years we'd shared. About the way he looked at me in the bank that last time, telling me I'd never find anyone better. He was wrong, of course. I'd already found someone better myself. It just took losing everything else to realize it. I never heard from Vivi again. I assumed she was still running, still hiding, still living the same desperate life she'd always lived. Or maybe she'd found her own way out. It didn't matter anymore. What mattered was the life I was building. The choices I was making. The person I was becoming. The door had closed. The lock had changed. The code was mine alone. And I wasn't sharing it with anyone. The end.